That's Bob Iacino. That's Chief Strategist for Path Partners, Mike Arnold, and our favorite technical analyst, which, by the way, it's so fortuitous to have you on today because there's big moves. You want to see what's happened, what's been broken. Before we get going, a couple things. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Independence Arc Farm, who we always talk about how big conglomerates in food are poisoning our food supply. There is something we can do, and that's patronize small farms. Try Independence Arc Farms. We are going to call this show the Bobby Iacino's Hungover Show. And by the way, I forgot to turn my light on behind my camera, so hold on, people. Okay, when we go live, we'll edit this out. Oh, no, actually, we are live? Oh, shit. So, Bobby, tell us about your hangover.
No, it's not even really a hangover. Yesterday was my anniversary. My wife and I went out. We had dinner. We met a couple of friends, and it's not the drinks. It's ever since I went to this sort of only meat, clean eating thing. And we consider that clean, right? Just me.
Yep.
Anytime I deviate from that, it's not a hangover. It's like a cloudy brain syndrome thing. Like I can't put a sentence together. You're going to notice that today throughout the show.
Hold on a second. We notice that every day. Is that what happens on every show?
One of these days we're going to be in the same room.
You think we're not going to pick on you because you're feeling down? Is that really what you thought?
No, it's not. But it's one of those things. And I honestly, I don't even know why I do it anymore. Why do I deviate at all, ever, even in celebration?
Yeah. Well, listen, before we start again, there is something else I wanted to mention. Many of you guys know, and this show is live right now, we launched the Unfiltered Investor approximately 3 months ago. So many of you have signed up for it and subscribed, and we completely appreciate that. And by the way, of the trades, and these trades that Mike and Bobby put out are generally, they're not hour to hour. This is not a day trader thing. This is trades that sometimes can be long-term, sometimes a couple weeks. But anyway, of 26 trades, and I might be getting these wrong, 19 winners, 4 losers, 2 still open. Is that correct?
1 still open.
1 still open. So anyway, the hit rate is, the hits just keep on coming. And we appreciate that. And by the way, guys, if you want to look them over too, we can show you. Everything is done in absolute real time, and there is no, fudging of the results. This is the reason I signed up to be with Bobby and Mike is, one, Mike's system, which he developed, works. I've seen a lot of technical system. It's confusing. It's confusing for about a year until all of a sudden you get the rhythm of it. And Bobby's right on board with it and has added to it as well. And I want to appreciate you guys for including me in on it. What else do you want to talk about before we start?
Cold plunge.
Oh, shit. Okay, so World Statistics today tweeted, what are your cures for hangovers? And people answering, and no one went with the absolute perfect cure for a hangover. The night my wife and I had our 60th birthday party in our backyard, which, by the way, my wife and I were absolutely hammered, which is highly unusual for us. The Sunday morning, we wake up and both of us look at the tub, and it was 52 degrees, and it put a smile on our face, and boom, 10 minutes in the cold plunge tub, we were ready to start the day. People, try it. You won't be sorry. Bobby, try it. You won't be sorry.
I keep looking. I'll land it one of these days.
All right. Okay, let's talk. So this is a huge day, and I'm so glad we have so many live people watching today because there's a huge moves in the stocks, huge moves in a lot of assets, and let's see what kind of technical damage they may have done. Mike, you want to start?
Sure. I mean, they've done some minor technical damage just on the S&P and NASDAQ. What's interesting is we have a couple confirmed topping patterns. We have not done major technical damage just yet. We've come down to a bottom of an up. It's going to be real interesting to see where we close actually in the next the future's an hour and 50 minutes, but where we close today, because we've bounced back substantially after ticking off a couple of the key levels. Especially one of the key areas that we've had a lot of buying pressure around the 63.80 level. We had buying pressure to 20th, to 21st, 22nd. We dipped down there today and found some key support and are bouncing nicely. Now, we had the end of this beginning of the September 2nd, first trading day. We had the last day of August, and we had a down day. It followed through today. But we've had some weakness going into when we had the end of July, beginning of August. I'll just point that out. We had a down day at the end of July, followed through on the beginning of August, and then snapped back. We completed a little key area. It looks like we're going to close below the 64.2275 area. But as I put out in the newsletter that came out, then I was watching us hit come down possibly to the 6380 area, which we bounced off today. So that's already over. The next major area, now this is where it gets interesting. And I'm only in minor bullish mode now for the S&P. Very minor bullish mode. It looks like we're making a significant rounded top to start off. Now, this could keep extending into September more, but this generally you make these broad-based rounded tops. You can start seeing it more on the weekly. If I zoom in here, how it's just rounding out. We're making significant divergences here. We had a triple divergence now on the daily pattern, which means every push higher is running out of momentum. But I have to remain bullish at least until we get below the 63.45 area on a closing basis. So that's the level I'm going to be watching over the next few days if we continue down on a closing basis.
People are watching. I write down Mike's levels. I trade off Mike's levels. 63.45, you said?
63.45.
Close below. Got it. Okay.
Close below. The only hitch in this equation is right below that is the 50 EMA, which we have not. If we go back in time from our capitulation bottom, we broke above the 50 EMA at the beginning of May. We came back down, retested as support, and we have not reconnected with it since that time. So normally I'd say if we close below that 62.5, that 63.45 level, my intermediate target would be 63.10. My primary target would be 62.75, which would mean a retest of the lows from the beginning of August, which we sold off and then we recovered from. The only thing that gets in the way of that is the 50 EMA, which right now is 63.30. If we bounce over the next few days, it's going to keep rising. So it could really come in that same 63.45 vicinity and reinforce that level. Again, I'm really shifting to neutral to very minor bullish. The next push higher, even if it can manage to eke out a new high, we'll have another divergence up there. And it's just a matter of time before something triggers this to get a little bigger cascading correction. We're just not necessarily there yet. Now, with this low from today and the lows from the 20th to 21st and 22nd, if this area breaks with momentum, again, right around the 63.8, it's down all the way to 63.65, but I'm going to be watching that 63.80. If we slice through that intraday with momentum, then I'm not going to step in the way of that. I'm going to be focused on that 63.45 level on a closing basis. If we do close it below it on a daily, I'm going to watch for follow through on the weekly. And to touch base on the weekly, this is still in the weekly rotation zone. So could we pull back even towards those lows from the beginning of August, end of July, and could they hold and still be in the weekly rotation zone and set up another weekly bounce buy pattern? Yes, we can, and that's what I'll be watching for over the next few weeks.
Okay, so tell me this. If we have people who are watching who are not the most active investors, they are buy and hold, they construct portfolios, and they do it maybe a couple times a year. What you're saying to them is there's nothing to be particularly fearful about right now, right?
What I would not be aggressively adding to positions right now. I'd be very patient. Remember, September is the worst month historically for stocks. We've talked about in Unfiltered Investor putting on, this is a great time. It was at least even through most of last week to put on hedges with volatility being so low. Yeah. I'm not saying abandon anything, but it was a great time to put on hedges. There still might on the next bounce be more incentive to put on hedges. If you're not really trading in and out of actively managing a portfolio, put on hedges. I like to put them through the major options expiration in October. That's my drop dead date for my hedges. But unless we really start closing below the weekly rotation zone, which is roughly back at 6,200, I'm still going to be watching for bounce setups in the next few weeks.
Okay, that actually makes sense. And by the way, you guys, most of you know, I did put on quite a bit of option hedges. I took off some today, but not many. I still have quite a bit just because it is seasonally a weak time. Just want to protect some things on the downside. Bobby, you have any questions?
No, I got kicked out because of power outage, and now I can't fix the echo here. So I missed all of that. So
The
no,
echo seems
that means
fixed,
no.
though.
Let me
Yeah,
see if what's that? It seems
the
fixed.
echo seems fixed to me. Oh no, and now I can hear it. Okay, can we move on? Like we can come back to because I think the Russell and Nasdaq are really interesting. But one thing at the Unfiltered Investor, one thing Bobby and I at with the Futures Edge podcast for years we have been accused of being gold bugs. Guess what? Maybe we were, and we were right. I know, Mike, for the last couple newsletters, you've put out gold in a bullish pattern. Gold. Oh wow. Let's see what happens now.
I guess you want to talk gold.
Yeah. Look at that.
By the way, for short term, I listed actually last week on my and I put it into Unfiltered Investor that it triggered a short term buy pattern. Again, long term is still bullish, but again, for the short term, you can still manage a long term position and trade in and out of things on the short term. Would not be chasing it today if you're not already in it on the short term.
Right.
Can it keep going? Yeah, but you probably can't get any decent reward to risk. Just went through the next target at 35.85. The next harmonic target is 36.36.
And
Okay.
what about someone like me who has a butt ton on? Would you be buying puts? Would I be buying puts?
I like to look at the weekly. We're getting overbought again. So especially if we climb a little more and get a little more follow through closer to this 3,600 area, I might consider either unwinding some of the short term, taking some short term profits, or at least putting on something. You can put on some puts. Again, we're getting very, very overbought and starting to peel away. But do we have a major topping pattern? No. Remember, we've been getting some more pressure. We also have all this. We probably need to touch on the yields. I mean, yields in France going up, Great Britain going up, Japan going up, and everything's getting poured into gold right now. So long term would not be touching anything long term. Short term, closer to 3,600 might consider unwinding a little to re-add back on the next pullback. You can see how.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to ask Bob a question about the fundamentals of this too, because you know where I stand on this. I've been beating the gold drum for several years, and part of the reason was central bank buying with the general, while the whole global trade situation is a little bit in flux. Bobby, what are you seeing fundamentally in gold?
Well, first of all, I want to say something about the chart here, and Mike can, when I'm done here, Mike can then jump in and either correct me or agree or whatever he wants to do. You look at back like the end of March, right? When gold started to pull away from the rotation zone that Mike and I both use. And that was the first time that we had more of a pullback into the rotation zone. It doesn't tend to do that when the 8 is sort of pushing the price. So today would be the first pull away from the 8 period EMA that I'm seeing on the chart. That's number one. So I wouldn't be buying puts yet. I'd wait for another probably spike or two from here. And if it pulls back a little bit, it likely is testing the sort of sideways consolidation that it just kind of broke out of. I don't even personally consider this a full breakout. So Mike, keep that in mind as I finish this sentence. In terms of the fundamentals behind it, when you look at the inverse correlation with gold, it is strongest to Fed direction. All right. So when Fed is going to cut rates, that's when the gold inverse correlation of gold is strongest. It is irrespective of the dollar, irrespective of longer term treasury yields. Gold does have an inverse relationship to those things as well, all else equal. And what is not equal is the probability of a Fed rate cut in September today went to 92%. And that's the highest it's been on a settlement basis since this started to be the target meeting. Right. So that's why I think gold is getting this little extra boost. Now, the central bank thing, totally agree. The dollar strengthened today and medium to long term yields rose. Normally, that's a headwind to gold. It wasn't today.
Not at all. Mike, any comments on that?
No, I was just going to bring that up. That's why, again, closer to 3,600, I'm watching for some resistance. Again, if we blow through there, the next major key area is 37.45. That's the next so you can just remember 37.50 area for the next key harmonic target.
God, and I hope so many of you guys followed us into this gold trade over the last few years. And I know many of you did. And I don't care that I didn't make up a penny off you guys jumping into it. I'm just so glad that people protected their purchasing power by buying this shit. So thank you. What do we got here?
Well, that's the dollar index, because again, the dollar index.
Yeah, look at that.
It's caught in this consolidation range. It tried to break. I mean, yesterday was Labor Day in the U.S., so I was watching 97.20 on a closing basis. We still closed above that. That's my breakdown play. We'll just touch on this. My breakout play is above 98.20, as long as it can break above there and retest and hold. Other than that, the dollar is still in this massive consolidation. And with the amount of bearishness from a lot of people in the dollar, has not been able to sustain a breakdown yet. That's also very interesting. But from a more intermediate term pattern, there is nothing until we break out of this range. Just wanted to touch on that, because you can see, what is it, up 70 basis points today, with gold up too.
Yeah, well, dollar up, gold up, Bitcoin up, stocks down, of course. I mean, we all saw that. But it almost seems like the dollar's implications for the assets that it used to have great control over aren't quite as strong as it was. I mean, this is kind of unusual that the dollar and gold's kind of screamed higher on the same day without any sort of panic going on, right? Or what was the story today when everything started moving? I never saw any story that justified these big moves. Bob?
It was more a return of capital situation. I mean, you got the second day of equities trading lower. I'm with Mike. I think some damage has been done, but I don't think this is some sort of a crisis sell-off or anywhere near that. But you got the second consecutive day of stock selling off. So you add that to that, boosts the Fed rate cut storyline.
Yeah.
Right. As stocks are selling off, because there are still that group of people that think stocks going down means the economy is slowing. And there are times when that's true, but that isn't always true. So when I saw gold go up, it made sense to me. I didn't even look to see if the dollar was kind of like, acting the same way or not, because again, the strongest inverse correlation for gold is to the Fed intentions.
Yeah.
Not to the dollar or to the interest rate side of things.
Fascinating. Yeah. Mike, what do you want to look at next?
But wait, NASDAQ does have a channeling head and shoulders that confirmed today, but does not look like it's going to trigger with this bounce back going into the close. Unless we get some weakness in the close, it does not look like it's going to trigger. And the NASDAQ did reconnect with the 50. So going to be keeping a close eye on this to see if it triggers or not. Now, it's one of the lower probability head and shoulders, because again, it's against the weekly rotation zone. So could we, if it does trigger, pull, and it does not only require to trigger today, we could roll over and trigger tomorrow or later on this week until the pattern's invalidated. But is there like, oh my gosh, we have a crash mode? No, it's just, it could pull back into the weekly rotation zone. And still, the major breakout level for before in the NASDAQ is 22, roughly 22,250 to 22,300. That's the prior major breakout level that we broke out in June. So even revisiting that, would that do more technical damage? Yeah, but is that like, oh my God, I have to abandon all hope on equities? No, not yet.
Okay. That's interesting. Bobby, you have any thoughts of what to look at next? I think he said Bitcoin.
Bitcoin?
Yeah.
No, I said the Russell.
Oh, the Russell. I love the Russell.
I know usually we skip the Russell. I didn't realize I was muted. Sorry, guys.
Oh,
I know we
yeah.
usually skip the Russell because it's moving side by side, but lately micro caps have been outperforming. And I think it's important to start
this is a great
looking
point.
at the
and
smaller
this is a big
caps.
story. Right.
Well, again, the Russell has been, we finally completed the old 62.5 rule, which was triggered back in June with the full target being 2381. We actually ticked that off last week. So
tell people that rule again, Mike.
When it closes, I'll just go with the close above. So we had the major retracements from the last sell-off. When it manages to close above the 62.5 level, which was 2189, the probability shifts significantly, substantially significantly, that it's very decent to trade. I just watch for then pullback and buy entries. that the minor target becomes a 75% harmonic, which we stalled out again multiple times. We broke through that. The major target is the 87.5 harmonic, which was 2381, which you see we closed pretty much right at last Thursday. Now we've pulled back to the rotation zone. We pulled back actually to the prior breakout level, which we broke above on Friday the 22nd, retested on Tuesday and held, and retested today. So would I be getting out of Russell's stuff yet? No.
Hell no, right. Yeah.
I'm still watching for higher prices in the next major areas close to 2450. We have a harmonic, a very key significant level up there. We actually have a fair amount of clusters up there. So I'm still watching for some higher price action in the Russell. The last thing I'm actually looking for right now on the bullish side is the NASDAQ. The first thing is the Russell, and then I'm going to the S&P.
Right. That's what it sounds like. And I look at that too. And by the way, that's the all-time high that you drew out there too, right?
Correct. That is the all-time high.
That is that seems extremely significant. And again,
you can see this. It eked out.
Ooh.
We had a high in November of 21. We re-eked out the high in December of last year of 24, and now we could possibly go in and close in on it again.
Okay, so when you had the daily up for a second, the fact that it dipped into the rotation zone and was rejected, that's something you didn't say, but that's something that means something, right?
Yes, I watch for any pullback in the rotation zone, especially the separating rising rotation zone, into a key support level. I watch for buying opportunities.
Right. Okay. So then it rejected it nicely. Okay, good.
All interesting enough, based off today, if we take out the high tomorrow and manage to close above it, it's a % beat buy. Okay. So I focus tomorrow. Now there's already been some intraday price options, but going into tomorrow, I'm going to be very focused on today's high, which looks like it's going to remain at 2376.5. So any break above there with a follow-through close is another short-term potential buying opportunity.
Okay, Bobby, do you have any individual names that you think is a really interesting pattern shaping up?
Is he on mute again?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he hears us. Oh, no, that's fine. So, Michael, what about you? Do you take that
I'm
question?
back.
He's back.
Yeah. Can we? I really want to take a look at NVIDIA. Now, I know
that's what I was just about to guess. You wanted to take a look at.
Yeah, I know what Mike is likely to say here, but I want him to say it to the audience.
Well, the narrative on AI has certainly shifted. We have a lot more weakness in NVIDIA, and I have an even better example. It's going to be interesting to see Broadcom, which has earnings this week, and that actually has a potential significant topping pattern. NVIDIA is trying to break down into the weekly rotation zone above key resistance. We could be setting up for still some bounce patterns only. It's trying to hold the 50, but again, it's been weakening. We came out of a triple topping pattern. It's short-term oversold. So I would not be surprised to see a bounce going in over possibly the next couple of days. But we have downward pressure. We're not yet oversold on the weekly. So any daily plays, I'm not looking to rush into anything long-term. I'm waiting for a bigger pullback, at least into the bottom of the weekly rotation zone. And then the next major bounce will be very key for AI and NVIDIA in general. Overall, tomorrow, if we break above today's high, could be setting up for a % beat buy. So I'll be watching tomorrow's high, and that's to a bounce. We also have the rotation zone crossing down. Okay, so we could get some more overall downward pressure as we dip deeper into the weekly rotation zone. All of that being said, if Broadcom blows out earnings on Thursday and goes off to races, it could lift NVIDIA up. NVIDIA's just been lagging in consolidation, though. And I'm going to touch on Broadcom, though, because it does have a potential double top pattern in play. It would need a close below the low of 281.87 before it's triggered. And what's also interesting, if that were to trigger, the 50 EMA would be out of the way. And it could easily pull back deeper into the weekly rotation zone. So
Are they
Not
after
shorting these
after the close on Thursday or before?
if it can trigger any time. But
No.
I mean, if
Do they report after the close on Thursday?
they report after the close, yes.
It's so funny. Does it seem to you like all the banks report before the close and all the tech companies report after the close? And to me, it seems like bankers get up early, tech bros stay in bed. Is that part of it or no?
I actually have never thought about that.
It's true. They do. Banks report in the mornings and tech. I think it's because tech bros like to sleep a little later than we do, but that's just what I'm thinking. Yeah. Bob, you got anything to add?
Yeah, Mike, what you wanted to look at? I wanted to look at Netflix before you go on to the next thing. And then did we look at Bitcoin or not?
No, well, then we will after
We
Netflix.
have not looked at Bitcoin. You want to go to Bitcoin first or Netflix first?
Netflix.
Netflix, I mean, overall, it's from the overall weekly percent beat buy triggered a couple weeks ago. On the longer term, it's not stopped out yet. It keeps getting bought. It's going to be very interesting to see where today closes because it dipped below a short-term stop level that I have, but it looks like it's going to close above it. So.
Wait a second. Isn't that a double top that would be oh, it did since it rejected it today, it didn't trigger it, right?
It did not trigger it.
Right. Okay. If it closed below that wick of today, that triggers the double bottom, right? I mean the double top.
That I have to double check because we had this little glitch in there. It would be a topping pattern, yes, and it could pull back to the lows that set up the last buying opportunity. But again, it's confirmed, but it's definitely not triggered.
Yeah. So this is, to me, seems like a confusing chart. Is that getting below all those moving averages, having them begin to turn south, looks weak, but then all of a sudden we jam it up into the close and make it confusing. Is that what you see too?
Well, right now we're still now the weekly rotation zone is flattening out. If this rolls over and closes below about 1170. I'm into neutral mode. And then if we break down below this 1145 area, I'm in short-term bearish pullback mode. And I'll be watching the 1081 to 1016 level for the next potential buying opportunity. Right now, this is actually being able to break below all this buying pressure, break below its reverse intraday and close back above it is short-term, potentially bullish to retest this recent high areas.
Yeah, that's a hell of a good effort, today's candle, to be in the dumps like that and then turn it around like that. That's very, very interesting to me. Bobby, back to you for a sec. What do you got?
Yeah, it was strange to watch a lot of the price action today because there was a lot of that in some of the stocks that were collapsing in sort of sympathy with NVIDIA, right? And the overall tech side of the market. But then a lot of them came back. Even AMD did a pretty decent job of it. So I think the Mag 7 might be losing a little bit of luster. Did we do Bitcoin yet, Mikey?
No, let's do
Bitcoin. Bitcoin last week, now it is a lower probability double, but it did trigger a double top last week at the bottom of the weekly rotation zone. So personally, I'm watching for rollover moves in Bitcoin still. The only thing that would invalidate that, first off, it has to regain 112,600 and start getting back above the declining daily rotation zone. That's the first thing that maybe it could be stalling out. Overall, though, the probabilities are still that Bitcoin could be lower for a little longer. Now,
yeah, go on. I thought you were done. Yeah.
Now, it's going to be very interesting to see how this week closes out because it's holding the weekly rotation zone. So I'm going to be very focused on about the 108 area to see if we close above or below that by the end of this week.
Okay, that makes sense. Give me that level one more time.
108,000.
108. Okay.
By the way, the official invalidation point until we get down to the first target, the official invalidation point for this double is if Bitcoin the pattern's still in play until it gets above 120 again, 120K again.
Okay,
so
and that's significant, right? Okay.
Yeah, so you could even see some bounces higher and still have rollover plays. Another one we don't touch on that much is Ethereum.
I was hoping you'd go to Ethereum. We're on the same page today.
Ethereum, which has been on a tear, since the lows in April, has now set up, again, it's not confirmed or triggered yet, but it does have a massive potential double top pattern. You can see it here. It's easier to see on the daily than the weekly, but that would take it into the weekly rotation zone, and we could get a bigger correction in Ethereum, which again, not triggered yet. The official trigger point is on a close below 4,062.
Okay,
That's
sense.
another one I'm keeping an eye on because Bitcoin already broke down and triggered its topping pattern. Ethereum has not yet triggered its.
Okay. Bob, do you have any interest in anything more? Any individuals, any metals, anything?
Chewy.
What's Chewy? That dog, the dog one, right?
The dog one, Jimmy. The dog one. I think Chewy has an interesting setup here because it has a potential double top, but we also have this cross up or this first cross up the rotation zone, and the rotation zone hasn't quite crossed back down. So, and we're up against the 50. So I just think it's an overall interesting chart. I'm not making any assumptions.
So Bobby, before we even get Mike involved, you look at those series of tops, and a close above that would be attractive to you, correct?
I mean, not necessarily. It depends more on what's happening to the price action at the left. A close above that shows me a triple top. And then it's really, as I've always said before, a close above it and then a rotation and a test of it and a resumption up means more to me than just a close above it does.
Michael, what do you
because
see?
you can get a close above it and then all of a sudden it just turns and collapses and it shows you that wasn't really a trigger. It was more of a head fake.
Right. Michael?
I mean, I'm still looking for potential buy opportunities unless Chewy closes below the low of August 25th. If it does, we could easily break down to the 200 area again, and any potential buy setups are off the table for me at that point.
Interesting. And Mike, Bobby, what drew you to it? Is there a fundamental story? You just like dogs?
No, I think it's the fundamental story when I looked at their last earnings, not the one that's due. They've got earnings due on, I believe, what is it?
September 10th.
The 10th. Yeah. I looked at their last batch of earnings and they had a decent earnings report. And it rallied for a little bit and then collapsed on I'm not sure what. So I just always think that there's they had a negative surprise on EPS, sorry, but the revenue was much stronger. And I think this revenue is going to be strong again because consumer spending is strong and consumers spend on their pets.
Yeah.
So I thought they had a good chance to kind of make a recovery rally at some point back up to the highs that it reached in like June of 2025. Maybe not surpassing them, but I thought this would be a good stock for a candidate to come back.
Tell me this from like a longer term fundamental viewpoint, Bob, do you look at a stock like Chewy as kind of for implications of consumer health, consumer liquidity in the market? Because it's like some things are inelastic. Some food people have to buy no matter what, but spending money on your dogs, you don't have to buy no matter what. So do you tend to go to a stock like this to be like, okay, consumer looks pretty good?
It's a supporting factor to me because like your dog needs food. You can go to Chewy for that. Your dog needs medicine. You can get some of the medicines at Chewy. Your dog doesn't need toys or a new bed or a new crate with the wood around it that makes it look like furniture. Those are the kind of things that boost Chewy's earnings because they make a lot of money on that stuff. The other stuff some of it's even loss leaders. So that's why I liked when their revenue was up because their EPS was more about cost containment. And my understanding is they've been working on that. But again, I don't work at the company in the CFO's office, so I'm not sure. So I think there's a chance for this to go back up to those June highs. But I need a technical signal. I can't just guess on it.
Interesting. By the way, you guys know I adopted that new dog 2 months ago, right? She's turning into a sweet thing. But again, people who are watching, tell me this, because I haven't even talked to the vet yet. She's not very big. She's about 50 pounds. She's got a beautiful coat. She's kind of stinky sometimes. Like, what the hell is that about? Like, we brush her, we feed her good food now. We've given her all the medicine. Are some dogs just like oily or something? Bobby, do you know anything about this shit?
About that stuff. Mike knows quite a bit about that stuff.
Mike,
But
are some
actually,
dogs smellier
my
than
dog
others?
here, the dog that I have now, has that same sort of thing. We
Really?
bathe her like once every 2 weeks, and within 3 or 4 days, she has that dog smell again.
Yeah.
It could also still
I kind of
be
like it.
Yeah.
it could still be a vitamin and mineral deficiency,
Okay, so that's
which
what. Yeah,
takes a while to correct.
Right. This dog lived on the street for a year. You know what I mean? This dog she was a piece of work. She had heartworm, tapeworm, all the worms. But yeah, Bobby, you just mentioned something funny about when you really like a dog, you start to almost like the dog smell, which is so weird. But it happens to Margaret and I too. Yeah.
It's so weird. It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you want to look at now, Bob?
Dealer's choice.
Can we look at platinum then?
Yeah, we can look at copper too, which we haven't
Copper
done
and platinum, yeah.
Sure. Let me get copper up here first. By the way, silver, just to say, silver is also same thing as gold, getting very overbought. Next key harmonic is $43 for people. Again, silver really running strong.
Gosh, I wonder where the people, the audience, could have gotten really good tips on when it was time to get silver. Oh, yeah, from us. But anyway, go on.
Copper triggered a %B buy a couple weeks ago and now is finally following through. Is this a massive? It's at least getting above the daily rotation zone today, and it's now retested and held. It dropped a little earlier. Now it's retested and held this critical 459, 460 area. So as long as that holds, I'm watching for some continued upward pressure on copper, with the next target being 475. If we lose 459, not interested again in the short term. And from the longer term position, the stop still on the %B buy is below the end of month lows from July.
Yeah, because that's that huge candle. Like we rejected those lows, but only slightly, and that automatically makes them extremely important, right?
Correct, and that was the lowest low around that %B buy, so that's why it's still the technical thing. We dropped down, retested the low of the %B buy setup bar, which was from the beginning of August, which was triggered on the next week into August, and then we moved sideways, retest that, and now we're finally breaking out.
Do you look at that chart and find it as odd as I did that we had this wild volatile move and then we just stopped and dug in the sand for 3 straight weeks, traded nowhere? It's kind of unusual, isn't it?
You know, it's funny. Mike and I have a concept that we used to call space. We now call it a clear path, right?
Yeah.
And the theory behind it was, Mike, if you pull up a crude oil chart, for example, you'll see a clear
Oh, I know exactly when it began and everything.
Yeah, you'll see a clear indication of space over there in like that February, March area, right? You'll see 4 or 5 candles there. And space to me is always, when you have a big drop like that, right? Traders, especially short-term traders, have short memories, and they tend to blame the contract, right? So when you see a big, just disastrous sell-off like that hurt a lot of people, they'll sit down and say the kind of thing like, I'm not trading copper anymore. Copper sucks. As if it has something to do with the structure of the commodity or the contract that caused that, right? You look at this crude oil chart, right? To the left of the current price action, there's that area of successive red candles going down, right? That Mike's highlighting right now. That's what we call space or a clear path. And that's part of the reason I like this breakout in crude. Again, I don't buy this breakout. I'd rather see it test the area that it broke out from and move back up again. But it's trading back into an area that traders remember that there was a successive move. So those areas tend to kind of retrace back up. And it's a clear path for the asset to move up into. Copper doesn't have that. It has just that one move, right? And again, short-term traders tend to go, copper sucks. I got killed on copper. I'm not trading it anymore.
Yeah.
They blame the contract, which is silly. It's absolutely silly. But it's human
I
nature.
have to blame something. I can never blame myself, of course.
Yeah, I got beat up in a bar once. I don't go back to that bar. You know, it's that kind of a thing.
Yeah, exactly. Even though that guy's not going to be there, chances are. Yeah.
Here's that crazy move in copper with that crazy settlement.
Yeah.
And it was multiple guys, by the way, Jim. It wasn't one guy. But
of course. Right.
So again, it's going to be real interesting because we're testing today. We're testing the gap open down after that crazy settlement, which should have never been a settlement in my mind. But
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, that was
I mean, we were trading down at one point at 451, and then it settles at. And if you look at it intraday from way back when, here's your 4-hour candles. Okay, it's trading down here. You go to the daily, and it settled up here.
Yeah. Yeah, it was,
somebody not saying anything because I don't have it. Not saying anything, but somebody probably needed that settlement pretty bad.
Seems so. I don't know what you're suggesting. Anyway, platinum, baby.
Here we go. I just don't have it in here. Platinum. Maybe I do. Yeah, I did have it in there. Sorry. Platinum. Again, pull back weekly rotation zone. Rotating back up. The key level for platinum it's not been as strong. I mean, you see silver and gold, which have broken the recent highs. Platinum really needs to get a close above 1421.3. We talked about it earlier. That's the 62.5 rule. It was nice. It made a really nice base here. We broke above it, and now the key level that I always watch is the 62.5 from the retracement highs at the 21st of July back to the lows of the 1st of August. 1421, a close 1421.3 to be exact. The close above there shifts the probabilities, and the major target is 1481. If platinum can actually get a move on above there, then the next harmonic target's higher. The minor is 1541. The more significant is 1571. Let's take a look at that on the longer term chart, and let's just see. Let me go to a monthly to see how that plays out. Again, we're testing where we got rejected from back in August was a very substantial high from all the way back in 14. So not surprised to see it pull back here and test up back up there. But again, you start getting above this first harmonic, 1541, and Bob mentioned a clear path move. You still have a clear path move remaining from back in February, March, April, May of 2013. So we could, if this can still get a move on above these key highs, these recent key highs, the overall extended target could be around 1675. And we have a harmonic projection. The short term is 1571, and the next major target would be 1675 beyond that.
Okay, I want to go off the board here, so the reasoning of this is that AI has been the story. Recently, a little element of that story has been power consumption and how the grid might not be set up globally to handle all the advancements we think are going to happen right away. So I'm looking at NLR is the ticker symbol. Do you guys know what it is?
This is new.
Yep, you got it. Nuclear ETF.
Yep.
Yeah. 5 stops in to buy it. You guys know where I'm going to buy it. You can see that, but right there, that pennant form. As soon as it goes out of there, I'm going to buy more.
Last week triggered a % B buy, and you got the rotation zone. As long as you don't close back below 107, it's in bullish mode.
Yeah.
You close below 107. This is technically a weekly sloppy double top pattern. So again, if it closed below that, would not want to be aggressively buying it because we could see a substantial pullback in that.
Yeah.
The one I follow mostly is URA.
And so is that the actual uranium?
That's the uranium ETF.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh,
The
and
other one I
nuclear.
watch is
NLR is nuclear, so it's different. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Okay, good.
Yes. So I watched just this from the core because I've been bullish on this for years because, I mean, eventually, if it really gets a run on, that you can see. Let me get to the monthly chart. You can see that there's some room to run, and if you look at the monthly chart, we broke back in June above this major resistance top, pulled back to a very key support level in August. You can see here from these prior tops back in 13 again. Wow, we're revisiting 13 and 14 a lot. And that is held. So in the long-term perspective, long term, I'm very bullish on nuclear and uranium.
Yep.
In the short term, we triggered on, what was that other one you just gave me?
NLR.
We did trigger, there's the monthly, you can see. Again, that's why I'd just be watching these key lows. We did trigger a percent beat buy, but if it were to close below 107.13, I'd be patient and wait because we could get a pullback into the monthly rotation zone. It would still be bullish, but that's where I'd look to reestablish a position if we were to trigger this this weekly. It's very sloppy. On the daily, it's a triple, but on the weekly, it's a double. And what would be interesting is if that triggered, we'd be out of the way of the weekly rotation zone. So we could easily see that pullback, and I'd focus more around the 97 to 98 level for a key pullback. That being said, it's still in bullish mode on the weekly chart and the daily chart.
Robert, what are your thoughts on nuclear as a long-term play, short-term play, et cetera, et cetera?
Long term, I think it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Who was the superhero? It was the guy from in the Infinity Story and the Marvel comic books. I forget his name. Guy with the purple striped chin. He said, "I'm inevitable." What was his name?
Oh, I do know who the guy is. I've never seen a superhero movie, but I did see the one my daughter made me watch. What was the one with all the black people? I'm fine with black people, by the way. No, the one that was all the cast of producers. Black Panther. I liked it fine. I didn't like the fact that they had a movie that didn't allow any non of their race to work on. Did I say something bad there? No, am I going to get canceled again?
I have no.
I want to throw one at you if I could, Mike. I want to throw one at you if I could.
By the way, I'm mixed race, people. Anyway, go on. Yeah.
A lot of old heads in the stock market think you can't have a rally without financials. So let's look at XLF with the pullback.
Oh, good one. Yeah, good call.
I mean, it's holding. I mean, we pulled back rotation zone, made a percent beat buy 3 weeks ago on the weekly basis. Rotation zone, percent beat buy, following through, still above. Key support window. This is a key support window, not just a level. You see we pulled back there. So as long as this really doesn't close back below 51, we got waning momentum in it, so it is getting a little tired, but it's still in bullish mode.
Nice. Okay, should we close out on that, Robert? So, by the way,
it's making me crazy that I can't remember the purple guy with the chin's name.
While you're working on that. Okay, good.
Why can't I think of who that is?
So people who are watching live, the guy from the Marvel superheroes who's got like the striped chin. If you guys can help with that, you get two star points and an attaboy from all of us.
Who are the star points from and who's the attaboy from?
I'll give the attaboy.
Thanos.
Thanos.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. What else do we want to look at? By the way, what is the gold miners ETF? GDX? It's like a firework. There's no trade there. The trade was 2 weeks ago, right?
The trade, yes. This would not be chasing in the short term. Done in the short. Can it keep going higher? Yeah, but you don't want to be stuck up here.
Heck no.
Getting very overextended and on the monthly. Look at that on the monthly.
Holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah, this is not the time. And people say, oh, it's not going to go back to, okay, you know what? Things correct. When they get overextended, it's just a matter of time. So I'd be watching if it starts breaking back below 63, I'd start watching for the bigger potential pullback, possibly even to the 59 area.
Yeah. So people, I just want to show real quick. Can you put a Barrick gold here? Oh, Jimmy, what do you got, Bob?
I want to point something out here. When we look at things like the gold miner ETFs and stuff like that, for everybody watching, Jimmy and I both used to do CNBC, Jimmy more than me, but I remember being on CNBC one time and telling them that I liked gold. I'm sorry, I liked crude oil. And they said to me, okay, which crude oil names are you looking at? And I said, I like crude oil, not the crude oil names. I like the actual commodity. So looking at gold miners, yeah, the trade is done. And there may have been some people because the gold trade went way before. It was way ahead of the gold miners, right?
That's what I was going to push back.
If you have an opinion on a commodity, you need to learn how to trade the commodity. The reason I bring this up, we had an example today where Nestle's CEO got replaced, right? And Nestle, obviously, we're looking at a stock there, but their CEO got fired over an undisclosed relationship with a subordinate. You don't get that in a commodity. Gold doesn't have an affair with somebody that hurts its price, right? It's just gold. You either like gold or you don't. You either like crude oil or you don't. Did we look at crude oil? Was that when my power went down?
We just pushed up for a flash. Let's look at it and give a more detailed response of it, because you did look at it, but you didn't give like where you wanted to trade it.
Crude, I needed it. Well, we put this out in the Unfiltered Investor. I needed it to get above this. Again, I was watching for a rollover play because we're at cycle tops. Unless we broke above 65 and hold there, I needed to retest. That was a 50 EMA and the prior key support becoming resistance, confirming resistance, possibly returning to support. But I need now that to prove it can hold. So if we can hold that, then we're into an advanced clear path move, which we talked about before. And the key target now, if we can hold that based off today's price action, would be right around the 67 area.
That makes sense. Okay, lastly, can we look at Barrick Gold? Because I had a call spread, and I'll show you where I bought it. You guys will know exactly where and why I bought it, and then when I took it off too, because it shot up. You know,
which one you want, Barrick Mining or
Barrick Mining B? Oh shit! Now looking at that, oh yeah, okay, that's the daily, right?
Yeah.
You guys see where it goes.
There's the
goes
weekly
down and rejects whatever the red line is. I think it's a 50 or whatever, and then it comes back above. Probably about 15 bars ago, I did put on a call spread that had a couple weeks in it, and I took it off. What do you think of it now? Because it doesn't seem as extended as some of the others. Because the rotation.
There's your weekly. It's pretty extended. Again,
yeah.
Are these things I'd be short? No, would not be short it, but I would not be chasing it long at this point.
Right.
We could easily see. I mean, there's your weekly chart. Just to return to the weekly rotation zone could be. I mean, that'll keep rising, but this thing could drop to 25 in a heartbeat. And on a monthly basis, I mean, last month was major, but this, even on a monthly basis, if it consolidates, we could see a potential retest of 24.50 to 25.
Right.
So I've
lost a bunch of dough and it'll still be in a bull mode. So that's not good. Okay, so before we close, the three things you mentioned that are more immediately bullish, if I can remember correctly, and Bob, I'm going to want you to weigh on this too, was the Russell, platinum, and potentially crude. Is that relatively accurate?
I'm not super bullish on crude. It's a short-term play only. The Russell continues to grind higher. Is my first thing on stronger equity days that I'm looking for. Again, we've held with today was really nice confirmation. Could be a potential another buy set up tomorrow for some more room to run. definitely, I'm being very, very patient on metals right now with gold and silver. If you're not already in it, would not be chasing it. Platinum would be the only one. You mentioned platinum. For some continued, since it broke out of this base, even on a pullback to this 1367, 1368 level, I'd be watching for buying opportunities. It's still, though, from the probability standpoint, has to finish closing above 1421.3, and that will really tip it for a retest of the highs based off that. I'm trying to think what else I'm looking at for plays. Again, Bitcoin and cryptos, I'm not right now.
I remember that. Right. I'm pretty sure these are the only three that look like they could still have some bullish juice left in them.
Yeah, I'm still looking. As long as, you know what, on the micro yields, not something we don't talk about a lot, but I'm still watching. If we lose 4.2 on the yield basis, then I will not be looking at it. But so far, this has been a major support base. And today did trigger a % B buy in it. So I'm going to be watching. It already spiked into the rotation zone. So there's some overhead pressure in it, but I will be keeping an eye still on yields.
Okay, good. And for you guys who don't trade yields yet, the 10-year micro yield contract that CME launched a couple of years ago, I trade it every day. I think it's so much easier to relate to interest rates by trading yields instead of price. And I was a bond geek for forever, but I think it's a really good contract, and I trade it every day. And I like this chart. If it settles at 419-ish to me, and then there's any subsequent weakness, I probably jumping on the short side. You agree with that trade, Michael?
Yeah, if we start breaking down below this key support level, yes.
Right.
Then I cannot be bullish right now.
Okay. Good. Okay, let's play us out. Is that good?
Yeah,
Bob?
we're good. We're
good. Okay, there's a couple things I want to say first. We love doing these live shows because we love all the tweets that are coming in, all the DMs and retweets you guys give us. You guys are the best support group we have. Thank you very much. Thanks to our sponsors, Independence Arc Farms. You don't have to buy meat from huge conglomerate food sources that are feeding them shit. You can buy it from small independent farms like Independence Arc. Please join us on the Unfiltered Investor. That's unfilteredinvestor.com. We launched the newsletter about 3 months ago. We are keeping score in real time. There's been 25, I might get a tiny bit wrong, 25 trades that Mike and Bobby have put on, and 19 of them hit, 4 of them is lost, 1 of them is still open. By the way, I don't think those numbers work out. We're supposed to be math people, Bobby. But either way, it's close to all that. Thank you guys very much. I'm Jim Murio. That's Bob Iacchino. That's Mike Arnold.